Lando Norris will not be a championship threat. Period. Now, yes, I know we're 4 races into the season. Yes, it is qualifying, and I know I could be completely wrong in a few hours when the Bahrain Grand Prix begins. But right now, this is not the Lando Norris that I think is capable of becoming a world driving champion. Is he a good driver? Yes. Will he win more F1 races? Definitely. But you have to have a very special set of driving qualities in order to become a world driving champion. And the thing is, it's not guaranteed. Who knows what's going to happen next year? Will McLaren come out with the best car with the new regulations coming up? We don't know. So you have a very small opportunity, a very small window to capitalize on your chances of being a driving champion in Formula One. And right now, Lando is not doing that. Oscar Piastri, his teammate, qualifies on pole. A magnificent qualifying run for him. Lando doesn't start second, not starting third. He's starting in 6th place. Keep in mind, this is the same guy. We've been hearing the same thing over and over again about how they have the fastest car, we're the best car, we have the best teammate collab or the best teammate partnership and all this stuff, which it is true. But if you're going to say that, you then have to back it up. But it's completely hypocritical because Lando will say all this stuff, and then the next thing he will say when talking about Max Verstappen, when he comes out saying that he would eviscerate the field basically in a McLaren, Lando's come on here saying actually he'd be disappointed because the car is not all that. No, it is. It's just the driver, in my opinion, is not all that. The only reason why Max Verstappen is 1 point behind Lando Norris is because it's Lando Norris. It's not because the Red Bull is a great car. No, it's just that Max Verstappen is a miles better driver than Lando. I mean, we saw how difficult that Red Bull was to have a handle on during qualifying in Bahrain, and yet still Max is qualifying 1 position behind Lando somehow. I'm just sick and tired of this narrative or this image that Lando, intentional or not, tries to portray himself as this guy where it's like, yeah, it's all about the car, but then at the same time, it's no, it's not the car, it's the driver. He picks one of those two narratives whenever it fits him. Is it the car or is it the driver? It can't just be depending on what race. And what we saw in Bahrain, I think, is evident that Lando, in my opinion, is not the guy. I believe that a McLaren driver will be a serious threat for the World Driving Championship. But it's not Lando, it's Oscar Piastri. Piastri is like the Iceman, in my opinion. He's a driver that doesn't say much, but he puts his money where his mouth is on the racetrack. He lets his driving do the talking. Lando, on the other hand, seems to do a lot of talking, not so much driving. Again, is he a good driver? Yes, he will win plenty more F1 races this season. He's going to win more F1 races, but there's a difference between a driver that wins a lot of F1 races and an F1 driver that is a champion. The thing is, when you have drivers like Hamilton or Verstappen, you give them a good car. You don't have to give them a great car, but you give them just enough and they can take you over the line. With Lando, you can give him the perfect car and he still manages to bottle it. That and papaya rules, but that's a whole nother can of worms. Now let's talk about a potential new track getting the Atlanta treatment. Now this is coming from a former NASCAR mechanic, Postman Wookie on Twitter. You may have known him, seen his tweets before, but he said that hearing a popular intermediate track that consistently puts on good racing and finishes is getting the Atlanta treatment soon. Obviously, Atlanta being a 1.5 mile hybrid super speedway plate racing type of track. Got a lot of people wondering, 2 things. Number 1, is this real? And number 2, which track could it be? Now, the sort of rumors became much more potent when it came from Mike Ford, who actually works with NASCAR, is involved in NASCAR, where he retweeted by saying, this gained some steam, so can at least confirm that this isn't happening for any NASCAR-owned tracks. Now, Postman Wookie then confirmed the supposed track on Blue Sky, which is like an alternative, lesser-known version, happier version of Twitter, by saying that it's Kansas, not going to hide it here since most in the sport aren't over here yet. Then when responding to Mike Ford, he went back on Twitter saying, quote, the official that's denying this now also said about 6 months ago that the most negative opinions about what NASCAR is doing was bots, so take that for what you will. Obviously referring to Mike Ford when in response to all the criticism regarding the playoffs said it's all just bots. So Wookie does have a point here. But let's take this at face value. Let's take this, again, 2 ways to take it. Number 1, is this true? Again, it is a rumor. Now, the fact is that there are 2 people in the NASCAR industry, one that is currently employed by NASCAR saying this. This rumor does have some legs. It's not walking, but it does have some legs. It has something a little bit to stand on, but it is still a rumor. Now, let's have some fun with this. According to Mike Ford, it's not a NASCAR-owned track. So that only leaves one option. It's SMI. It's an SMI track. Keep in mind, Atlanta Motor Speedway is an SMI track, so it would make sense. Now, there are 2 other tracks that NASCAR does not own, nor does SMI own: Indianapolis and COTA. Indianapolis, that ain't gonna happen, and COTA, that ain't gonna happen, especially with F1 there. So none of that's happening. So we have to look at the SMI tracks. We got Charlotte, Dover, Kentucky, Las Vegas, Nashville, and Texas. Those 6 options. So let's first start off with Charlotte. It would be stupid isn't even a word I would describe. I'd be fuming if it was Charlotte. Makes no sense. Number 1, Charlotte brings in really good attendance, and number 2, it's home of the Coca-Cola 600. It's a crown jewel event. It would be so dumb to turn the Coca-Cola 600 into a 600-mile plate race. No. Now let's talk about Dover. Dover's a bit weird. Dover is 4 degrees less banked than Atlanta. Dover is at 24 degrees in the banking. Atlanta is 28. I don't think, especially the crowd at Dover has been really, really good since it went back to 1 race, I think in 2022. So I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's that high up on SMI's list on tracks that need to be changed. I think Dover is a really good racetrack, brings in good crowds, not that big of a market. Don't think that's necessary. Let's talk about Nashville. Nashville, it brings in, again, a really good crowd. Pretty new, 2021, when it debuted in the Cup Series. I just don't see Nashville being a possibility. The only tracks that are left: Kentucky, Las Vegas, and Texas. Las Vegas, again, don't think that's necessary. It comes down to Kentucky or Texas. Now, Postman Wookie did mention that it's a popular intermediate track with great racing and great finishes. Now, Kentucky and Texas fit neither of those options. But again, keep in mind, he did say it was Kansas that was getting the super speedway treatment, but Mike Ford saying no. So I don't think we should take everything what Postman Wookie is saying. But again, let's entertain this idea. I do believe that if there were any 2 tracks to get the supposed Atlanta treatment, it's Kentucky or Texas. Kentucky hasn't been in NASCAR since 2020. It hasn't produced the best racing. It's had 2 great finishes with the Busch brothers in 2019, and of course, Cole Custer's win last year. But that's about it. It hasn't been in the schedule, like I said, in 5 years. If it were to return something brand new, considering also the track that Kentucky is a botched racetrack now with the way they reconfigured and repaved that racetrack, that could make sense. Another way that could make sense is Texas. Texas has been horrible ever since they repaved and reconfigured it back in 2017. Although it has been improving in attendance, it has definitely not been the same since it's repaved. And there have been discussions, have been rumors floating around for quite some time about there will be a future change with Texas Motor Speedway, one way or the other. We've heard that maybe Texas may be shut down, maybe lose its one and only race day. There have been a lot of rumors going on with Texas Motor Speedway. The only thing that would, in my opinion, maybe make me believe that Texas is not the racetrack is because of the grandstands. If I'm not mistaken, someone can correct me in the comments here, but Texas, when it was built, it first was built by the grandstands. In other words, the grandstands is connected to the racetrack. So if you're going to reconfigure the racetrack, you kind of basically have to tear down the grandstands or adjust the grandstands in some way, shape, or form, since they're kind of connected as one. That would be a huge issue, and that would for sure take Texas off of the Cup Series calendar if you have to reconfigure the track and redo the grandstands in some capacity. So it's either between Kentucky or Texas, which, my opinion, I would prefer neither track get that Atlanta treatment. But if there was any track that were to get that treatment, that should get that treatment, it is Texas. My only worry is that if we do get another track that gets the Atlanta treatment, it could cause one of 2 things. Number 1, it could cause an influx of any mile and a half or any intermediate that does get repaved or needs a repave. They immediately go to the, just make it like Atlanta and do that, which should not be the case at all. What makes Atlanta fun is that it is the only one. It's the only mile and a half plate track out there. If we start having 4 or 5 of them start popping up out of nowhere, it's not going to be that special anymore, and it's going to look stupid, let's be honest. Another issue is you look at the schedule. We already have 6 plate tracks, 6 drafting tracks: Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. We go to both twice a year. If, let's say, Texas or Kentucky, or let's just have some fun here, Las Vegas, right? We could having up to 8 plate tracks, drafting tracks in a season. That is way too much. Way too much. All right. We should be keeping plate racing. We should be keeping speedway racing, drafting racing to a minimum because it's a special form of racing and it should not play a massive role in the race for a championship. It should be a fun, little different style of racing, but it should not be something we have to see every single Sunday, or let's just be realistic here. We shouldn't have to see every few weeks or so. It should be like once in a while, here's a different style of racing, and then we move on. But we should not be seeing more of these style of racing pop up every now and then in the Cup Series calendar.